We have presented the 21st Amendment as a private member's bill to Parliament through our General Secretary. It's already sitting in Parliament. The first reading was on the 17th of May. Presently, it's before the Supreme Court of the country, and last week and this week there are questions basically that people have presented to the courts. By the 15th of June, the courts will give a verdict, and in that verdict they will say that this can be passed with a majority in Parliament, maybe a two-thirds majority, and if necessary, some clauses might require a referendum. That's what they will say. And therefore, the government could actually permit us to bring this bill into Parliament in a very, very short period of time, because if the Supreme Court has approved it and given its decision on the 15th of June, a week later, they can permit to bring this to court. Then could bring it to Parliament, and Parliament votes. And once Parliament votes, we can agree on when we should have the referendum. As it had already been said, we can have that referendum along with a general election. So there is no problem. On the contrary, the government is trying to push another bill. It's calling it the 21st Amendment. It's not the 21st Amendment, it's actually the 23rd Amendment, because ours is the 21st Amendment. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa has brought in a private member's bill to Parliament, which is the 22nd Amendment. And now Vijayadasa Rajapaksa, as the Minister of Justice, is trying to bring another amendment that will, when it comes, it's not there yet, it's being discussed. When it comes, it will become the 23rd Amendment that will be brought to Parliament. Now, that's going to take a long time, because even if they meet party leaders tomorrow and they present it to the cabinet on Monday, which is the cabinet approval will be on the 6th of June, then it will have to be gazetted by the 13th of June, and then after it is gazetted, the first reading, will be on the 21st of June. These are 2 weeks later. It goes to the Supreme Court. Then it takes about a month in the Supreme Court, because you are given 1 week to challenge it, and the Supreme Court takes 3 weeks to actually give its verdict on it. So really, it will only come out towards the end of July. And therefore, it can be presented in Parliament at the very earliest, about the 9th of August, by which time, our bill would be through Parliament, unless this government decides in some way to block our bill, the 21st Amendment, being brought to Parliament, which they shouldn't. We have presented this bill in Parliament because of the Aragalaya, and people around the country are saying there needs to be a systems change. That is why we have presented this bill, and we are telling the government we are open for a referendum also, because the people's will must be established. So we are open even for a referendum. I might just very briefly say that this bill does not allow dual citizens to be in Parliament or in executive positions. We welcome dual citizens to this country. They can come and fully participate in the life of our country. They can bring their investments, run their businesses, and lots of them are our friends and our relatives, and they are most welcome. But when it comes to governing the country, we are absolutely clear that only those who are citizens of this country who should govern this country and be in executive office. And there's a reason for it. Because if I am a Sri Lankan citizen, and I am also an American citizen, and if there is some conflict between the US and Sri Lanka, and I am sitting in the president's chair, the prime minister's chair, or the minister's chair, or a member of parliament, in whose favor would I be deciding in that example? Is it in favor of Sri Lanka, or is it in favor of the United States of America? That's the reason why we say for governance, members of parliament and ministers and the president have to be citizens of Sri Lanka, so there is absolutely no confusion. The Constitutional Council is being brought in. It's very important to have it, and the Constitutional Council will be rebalanced. We are proposing that, now we have mainly members of parliament in it and some non-members of parliament in the minority. We are proposing to rebalance that, so that the outside voices could be heard and there could be independence. What's the importance of the Constitutional Council? One very important thing on the Constitutional Council is that the president will nominate, but it's a check and balance. They can check whether the nomination of the president is fit and proper. Good example is the recent nominations of the governors of the central bank. If there was an independent constitutional council, right, the persons the president proposed, nominated and appointed would never have been appointed. Never have been appointed, because the Constitutional Council would have said they were not fit and proper, and see the mess that the country has fallen into. So independent Constitutional Council is a good check and balance. The president can nominate, Constitutional Council must approve, then the president can appoint. Constitutional Council, if it disapproves, the president has to give a new nomination. That is the importance of it. Independent commissions have come. We have added 2 other independent commissions in our 21st Amendment. Right? The one is the Audit Commission, and also a Procurement Commission is been brought in. Everywhere across the country, everywhere, people in the Aragalaya are telling us that this country is corrupt and corruption must be arrested. That is why you need an independent Audit Commission, and that's why you need an independent Procurement Commission, because we need to tighten everything. We will also bring in new laws. The SJB has talked about it. The assets and liabilities will have to be made public with our new amendments to Parliament. The CBOC, that is the Anti-Bribery and Corruption Commission, is going to be made independent. In 2019, we have already drawn up the law. We will bring it into Parliament and pass that law, making it independent, so that politicians and high officials, right, can be tried in the courts in a very short period of time. We are also working on the Stolen Assets Recovery Act. We are already working on that. If they have been hiding things, maybe in land, in buildings in this country, or overseas, in real estate, or in foreign currency assets, this law will enable us to bring those assets back into this country. So we're working on a number of laws to strengthen that. The bill certainly cuts the executive powers of the president and puts checks and balances. New features of it is there's a new recognition for the National Security Council will be recognized by the Constitution. You remember the case. When the Easter bombing happened, the Prime Minister of the country at that time said, I was not invited to be at the National Security Council. We were members of Parliament. We didn't even know about it. Nobody had even told us about it. And why? Because it operated by the president looking at people's faces and then deciding whether they should be on the National Security Council. That's not. Our 21st Amendment gives it constitutional recognition. The National Security Council is basically decided by positions that are being held, and therefore we are really tightening the loopholes in the security establishment. We have also proposed a Council of State, because everybody out there, academics, professionals, young people and youth are saying, we want to be involved in the governance process in this country. We are creating, because that a Council of State, where it will have constitutional recognition, where those who don't come into Parliament or into politics, but can remain as professionals, academics and young people outside, and participate and contribute into the state decision-making process. So that concept is also in our 21st Amendment. And I would finally say that we have limited the possibility of crossovers. Everywhere in this country they say ban crossovers. So one thing we have said in the 21st Amendment, and very specifically, that if you are in opposition and you cross over to government, you cannot take any ministerial position, because people sent you by selecting a party first and then only giving you a preference vote. And therefore you have to be loyal to that. So if you have to cross over, you can't take a ministerial position, because it's a known fact that people cross over for position and for cash. It's a known fact. That's how rampant corruption is in this country, and we must bring it to a halt. So you will not get a position. If you have to vote against your party because it's a conscience reason, that's permitted. And if your party expels you, you can go to the Supreme Court. And within a short period of time, within a month, the Supreme Court will decide whether the expulsion from the party is valid or not. So this is what this 21st Amendment is about, and therefore we are telling the government, right, as I said, it's a very short time period, you can bring this. This is what the country is actually looking for.